Monday, April 27th, and that means it's time for another episode of Chatting with Agnes and Cecilia. I'm Cecilia Supp, the founder and principal of Rogue Tulips Consulting and Association Management. My co-host, Agnes Amos Coleman, who is also a member of the Rogue Tulips Network, can't be with us today due to a schedule conflict. But we say hello, Agnes, and as Agnes likes to say to our global audience, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you may be. We are really excited today. We have Donte Shannon, who is currently serving as CEO of the Association of Equipment Management Professionals. And Donte is also the chair of the CAE Commission, and he is going to discuss today his views of his personal CAE journey. Let me throw it over to Donte so he can introduce himself.
Hi, how are you, Cecilia? Thank you so much for having me on your program, and I hate that I'm not able to be on with Agnes either, but hopefully, she'll hear this and be proud of the job we do today. As you said, my name is Donte Shannon. I'm chair of the CAE Commission, also CEO of the Association for Equipment Management Professionals, and also an account executive at AMPT Association Management.
Well, and can you tell us a little bit about AMPT Association Management?
Yeah, so AMPT Association Management is a full-service association management firm. I've been with that company for about a year now, and got the opportunity to lead my current organization coming into AMPT. They were already with AMPT and doing a CEO search at the same time that they were coming in with AMPT. And so, yeah, AMPT offers full service, management for the organization. I have a staff of about 6 who help me manage that organization. But the company overall, I think we have about 45 plus staff. So quite a wide breadth of knowledge and association experience within that association management company.
Oh, that's great. So does AMPT support their staff and leadership getting the CAE?
Absolutely. As you know, Linda Patterson is the owner of AMPT Association Management, also a board member of the ASAE. And she's very vocal, in support of professional development in general, but also, all of the staff getting their CAE credential. We have a few folks who are, preparing to take the test and starting to study. I think we have a few staff who are also going to be sitting for the exam very soon.
Oh, that's fantastic. So Donte and I, as we were prepping for today's episode, learned that we both got our CAE in 2015. I got it in May. I passed in May, and Donte took the December exam. So we're kind of 2015 siblings when it comes to CAE. So, Donte, like me, you've probably had been in the profession for a while before you took the CAE. So what motivated you to get the CAE?
So I was, for me, my journey started very, very strangely because I had no interest in getting the CAE at all. And I'm not someone who has liked school historically. I've done well in school, but I've always been ready to leave school and graduate and start working. I'm someone who just likes to work. And as I was trying to progress in the association management profession, I started as a specialist at a very, very large association, and then went into another role as a manager of volunteer services at a different association, and started looking, shortly thereafter to continue accelerating. And a mentor of mine at the time, kept telling me, you need to get your CAE. And I kept ignoring it. And I was just like, I don't feel like studying for a test. I don't want to take another test. I don't want to learn anything else. I can learn what I need to learn just by working. And, we went back and forth about that, for a few months. And I got more information about the CAE and ended up talking to other people who had the credential, and they were telling me their stories about how it really accelerated their career and how it really sets you apart from, sets you apart within the association management profession. And so I started to consider it, after that. And then I also started seeing in job descriptions like CAE preferred, where that would give folks a leg up and make them more competitive. So that also caught my attention in really changing my mind about the CAE.
Well, and I think that's a great explanation of good reasons to do it. I had wanted to get it myself for a number of years, and because I was a consultant at that point, you couldn't do it 2015 was the first year they said, hey, well, we've reviewed this and we know, yeah, consultants should be able to do it. And so I did it the very first opportunity I had, and fortunately passed the first time because I do a lot of CAE mentoring for people, both individually and in groups and study groups. And I keep telling them, I never have to take this again. So I'm just like so happy. And then last week, I've just renewed for, I think, my second time. So I'm good through 2023 now. And so that leads me to another question for you, Donte. So the CAE Commission has been making some changes. They've been making things more electronic or digital, depending on what words you like to use to describe things. And so this was the first time I was able to renew online, and it was very easy. Really appreciated it, and it actually imported my ASAE educational activities. So kudos to the Commission for moving forward on that. Are there some other things that you can share with us, like maybe about the fact that we're moving to computer-based CAE initial exam?
Yeah, so I'm glad to hear that the online renewal and application process are working out really well. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback about that. And just as you and I talk about our journeys, right, the CAE program has to take a journey of its own and evolve as credentials all across the world are doing the same thing. So that's where some of these changes that everyone is experiencing are coming from. It's just us trying to keep the CAE credential fresh and up to speed with what's happening in the world. I think one of the other big major things you just mentioned is we transitioning the exam to an online format. And it will be the same exam. It'll still be multiple choice. It'll still be the same structure. You'll still have the same amount of time to take it. It'll just be online, and unfortunately you will not get your test results any sooner, but still, yeah. But it is, because we have so much of our activity, so much of our functionality on day-to-day is online. We thought that this was just an obvious next step for the credential to take, to move it forward.
Well, and and another new thing that everybody's been talking about is the new ethics requirement. And it doesn't feel so new to me anymore just because it got announced last year. But for 2020 as the first year, you need to have one ethics credit. So do you think in the future that the CAE Commission may require other sorts of things like, and I know you may not be able to speak to some of that as a representative of the Commission, but do you think the Commission might look at that in the future, like adding some other requirements?
I think I certainly wouldn't rule it out. I think it's certainly possible as we look at, our profession and how it changes and how it evolves and what's needed to really kind of establish yourself as, a top-notch professional in association management. The CAE Commission could certainly say, we feel like these core things are important and, need to be called out in, number one, seeking the credential and also renewing the credential or maintenancing of the practice of association management. I think, it's certainly, to be expected, just like we do a job task analysis, every 3 or 4 years to make sure that the competencies and the CAE outline is really up to date with what, CEOs and executives are currently doing in their roles. And I think as we continue to look at that and continue to assess, and as we see CEO roles and executive roles evolve going forward, you certainly might see, a response to that from the CAE in what might be required as far as renewing and as far as getting your credential and renewing it.
Well, and we all know, if we follow CAE news like I do, that the course, the content of the exam, the next 5-year cycle is going to change starting in December of this year. December 2020 will be the first exam of the next 5-year cycle. So can you give us a preview of what that might look like? Is it going to be radically different, or are we just kind of updating our materials that we'll study? I mean, what can you share with us on that?
So it's not going to be radically different. I think a lot of the things that folks have been studying and, that people are doing in practice in their everyday roles will still come to play. in the majority of the exam. I think, there were, I think with our last practice analysis, we reorganized some things, we restructured some things, thought about some of the new skill sets that are starting to emerge that will be needed in some CEOs and executives going forward. We included into the outline. But again, I don't think it's nothing that was surprising. None of the folks on the task force, were thinking, oh man, this is, nobody's heard of this yet. Let's put it on the exam. I think, I think what folks will see in the new outline will certainly be familiar to them, and also content and things that they've heard in the association management community already.
So do you have an idea of when the 2020 CAE study guide might be available?
We are doing right now a review of all of the study materials and the content to see or make sure that it's up to par, and that things are going to be aligned with the new content outline. I don't yet know when those will be delivered, or we can expect those to be delivered. But I'm sure ASAE and the commission will be communicating as soon as we have more information on those things. But we are working hard to provide new materials and new study guides so folks can feel like they're well prepared for the new exam.
Well, that's great, because I know you need at least 3 months to prep.
Yeah.
I took a 4-month course, and I was ready, but I know people have been asking about that.
Sorry, Cecilia, how long did you study for your exam when you took it?
Actually, about 4 months, because I took the Michigan Society of Association Executives full course. And so that was a 4-month course, and it was very intense. It was such a difficult course that when I sat down to take the CAE exam, it felt easy.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it was very demanding, very rigorous. We talked a lot about design thinking and systems thinking, and I think we all know those great CAE study acronyms: SPY, Stand, Plan, Implement, and Evaluate, and then LERP, which is legal, ethical,
I can't even remember.
Repeatable and professional. I think I've never been a fan of LERP because it's too hard to remember. And also, being like a research person, I'm like, SPY is like so much more sensible to me. So, but speaking of the exam, here's kind of like a fun question, because this is a fun show. We just like to hang out and talk. So out of the 9 domains of practice that the CAE exam covers, what's your favorite domain?
Ooh, that is a good question. I would have to say, so it's changed. When I was studying, it was, I think when I was studying, it was government relations, only because that's the least that I knew about regarding, association management. Now I would have to probably say strategic management is like the one that I love the most, and it's because it's most aligned with what I do now in my everyday role. So yeah, I think it changes every time. The new outline, I'll probably find a new favorite domain in that one as well. But it changes with whatever is happening at the time. My new favorite domain may be crisis management. So
Oh, is that a new domain?
No, I'm sorry, it's not a new domain.
Okay. I was gonna say, ooh, that would be really different.
The part of my communication is crisis management, but like right now, everybody's in crisis mode, right? So
right. Yeah, and that would be like another topic to have you come back and talk about as a 2-time CEO so far. Sure, you'll be CEO again for someone else in the future. I would have to say mine is knowledge management, because I've always been something of a nerd. I love data, I love analysis. But we're almost out of time already. I can't believe it. So Donte, what would you like people to take away about the CAE and its importance, both personally and professionally?
So I would say, Cecilia, my journey to the CAE was not easy. I actually took the exam twice. I didn't take it as seriously the first time the first go round. I had been used to testing very well, and so took that confidence in with me and ended up not passing the exam. The second time around, I took it very seriously. I was in 3 study groups. I studied on my own every day, twice a day, even while at work.
Wow.
And yeah, and luckily ended up passing the exam on the second go round. But ever since I got that CAE, even just studying for it and not passing, I had like a new knowledge base, and it was like a whole new world to me around association management. And I felt like I had gained something, even though I didn't have a credential. And now that I do have the credential and I also have the knowledge, that I think has been one of the biggest catalysts for me accelerating my career and, being able to jump from a manager to my first time ED role. I needed CAE knowledge to be able to make it through that experience. And so my advice and suggestion for anyone, who is thinking about earning the CAE or studying for the CAE, definitely, keep charging forward. It is extremely beneficial to have and to set yourself apart as an association management professional. It's essential to, being or accelerating your career. That's been my experience so far.
That's great. Yeah, I did notice when I was looking for a position that I got more interviews after my CAE than before. And I also felt that it took all of that knowledge that I had accumulated over the years and organized it in my head. And so for that reason, I agree with you. I had said to Cheryl Ronk, who was leading the MSAE course at the time, even if I don't pass the exam, I feel this has been a worthwhile experience for a lot of the same reasons you just said. So there you have it, folks. We're out of time for today. We're hoping Donte will join us again. He's been a wonderful guest, and we want to thank him for being here and for his work on the CAE Commission. And I hope those of you who may not have successfully passed the exam the first time will come back and be inspired by Donte's example. He took it more than once, and now he's leading the CAE Commission. So that's a great example. That's really inspiring. So thanks, Donte. We do want to have you back at some point, maybe after we get the December 2020, the next 5 years rolling. You can come back and talk about that a little bit. So, but for now, we have to go rogue. But I want to thank everybody in our audience for joining us, and Agnes will be back with us soon. And if you want to learn more about Rogue Tulips, you can check us out at roguetulips.com. Donte, if people want to connect with you about the CAE, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
Oh, that's a great question. You can reach me at dshannon@aemp.org. That's my work email address.
Excellent, thank you. And we talked a little bit about the ethics requirement. The 501c League offers a CAE approved ethics course, and you can learn more about that at the 501cleague.net. So until next time, folks, just remember what Agnes and I always say, take 15 minutes and talk to somebody because you might learn something. Until next time, bye everybody.
Thank you.